Jagrativ, Jai Masters. Yogananda used to talk about your Polestar, the Polestar of your life. We get caught up in tiny little things that have nothing to do with a meaningful Polestar. What is meant by a Polestar is you were born and you're going to die in a very short period of time. I know you're young, it seems like it's forever. The earth has been here for 4.5 billion years. How long are you going to be here? 80, 90, 100, who cares? Nothing. You understand that? Nothing. Nothing. So you're given this minuscule amount of time. The truth is you don't know where you came from. I don't care what you believe. Beliefs have no interest in me. You can change them in a minute. Change your beliefs anytime you want. They're of mind. So I like that you admit you don't know how you got here. Did Elon Musk get you a spaceship and you flew from Mars to Earth? Look how hard it is. We can't even get to Mars. How did you get here? You did, didn't you? Okay, somehow. So, and you don't know where you're going. Again, beliefs are interesting. What I like about death is you'll find out. I don't know why you need beliefs. You're going to find out. Either you're going to be there or you're not. So you came from somewheres, you'll go back to somewheres, and there's this time in between. Your Polestar is when you look at it as a whole and you say, what do I want to have achieved in my time here? You have the time here. What are you going to achieve? People don't look at it that way. Why? Because when you drop down into this body, you drop down to a sea of problems, a sea of trouble. What do you mean? The body has senses, 5 of them, and they're all a problem to the soul. All of them. Because what ends up happening is, you're in here, you don't know where you came from, but you're the consciousness that's in here, you're aware that you're in there, and you're having experiences that are coming through your senses. Some of the experiences seem to be pleasant, nice aromas, somebody touching you nicely, a massage, good food, things that look beautiful, and some of them are not pleasant. There's all kinds of stuff in there, right? Well, you're experiencing that. Guess what? That's what's supposed to be happening. Otherwise, why'd you bother coming here? If you didn't have senses, don't bother coming here, because you're not going to experience anything. People talk about the meaning of life. You have to start with what is obviously the meaning of life, to experience it. Why were you given senses? Why are you conscious? So you can experience things. What you experienced before you came, well, maybe you'll find out later. If you experience after you leave, you'll find out later. Right now you're here. And you're going to experience the things that are here. How? Because you have senses. If you did not have senses, you wouldn't experience a single thing. And there'd be no purpose to your birth and no purpose to death and no purpose to time in between. That's not philosophy. That's fact. Why'd you bother? So you're conscious and you're experiencing this plane, the earth plane. Are there others? Who cares? But there must be others. I don't care. Why do you think like that? What does that do for you? What does it do for you? There's galaxies and galaxies. There must be something else. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. None of your business. How about you try to live here? So basically, there is something that you know. The experiences that you're having while you're here. You're having those because you have senses. If you didn't have senses, you wouldn't have them. The reality of the fact is, the senses are chemical and tactual sensors. I wish we would call them sensors. I'm a computer guy. You have sensors. Auditory, visual, and so on. And they're sensors that are picking up different things, vibrations and elements and sounds and so on the planet Earth. They're then passing them back to you. Why? I've been through this before. Your entire... People won't like this, because people have abused this in understanding. The entire purpose of your body is to house your senses. I'm not being hedonistic. I didn't say to please your senses. I didn't say to run after your senses. I said the entire purpose of your body is to house your senses. How do you know that? Take anything else away. They've taken livers away. They've taken this away. They've taken things away. You're still there. Take the senses away. You're not here. Without the senses, there is no reason you took birth. The senses are picking up this plane, this earth plane, the vibrations that are going on in the world of atoms, and you are experiencing them. That is the basic purpose of your body. Okay, why is there a nervous system? So that your senses are connected to you, the consciousness. It's wiring. You're wired. Of what good is it to have a computer that has the most beautiful senses that could ever exist, but they're not wired back to the CPU? Nothing. It doesn't do any good. It doesn't mean a single thing. It's not communicating. Your nerves tie your senses back to your brain, where it all gets sent back. Well, what about the digestive system? Your entire body is made up of 25 trillion living cells. Some people say 35 trillion. I didn't count them. Let's say 25 trillion just for kicks. That's your minimum number. Living cells are alive. They communicate. They reproduce. They digest. They're living entities. Well, how do they stay alive? They need energy. How do they get energy? Well, you reach down like a cow, take clumps of grass and chew them up and swallow. It'll work. Believe me, you could do it. And chew them up and swallow them, and you have this thing called the digestive system. Why? So they can break down the food and pass it into your circulatory system. Otherwise, it doesn't get to the cells. This is not complicated. You don't have to go to med school. So it breaks it down. It puts all of the energy. That's all it is energy. You can talk about your vitamins, your protein. No, energy. Cells need energy, just like your car needs energy. Everything needs energy. Whatever way you want to get it. You get it by chewing on the earth, which I think is rather neat. And you're very amazing how diverse. You can eat meat, you can be vegetarian, and you can eat the biblical berries and nuts, and you kind of make it pretty good, don't you? Isn't it amazing? I don't think any other animals are that diverse, because you're the highest species on the planet. You reach down, you chew it, and it makes energy. It's like that's how you recharge your car. But when you recharge your car, you have to get gasoline, you have to plug it in, you have to plug this thing in. Isn't that amazing? So the entire purpose of your digestive system and your circulatory system are to feed the cells that make up your body so that you can have senses, so that you can receive and stay alive. Why do you have a muscular system? Because if you didn't have a muscular system, you'd be this little puddle with senses floating there, with senses hanging on it. It's all there, but it can't go anywhere. So you're given a muscular system so that these senses can move around and see different things, not just be there like a plant. You do move around, don't you? Why? So you have different experiences. That is the purpose of the whole thing. So all of them, the entire system, the whole thing is about producing a body that is able to stay alive and be mobile and communicate the senses back to the consciousness. I mean, you said it comes back to the brain. That's where yoga and the deep teachings differ some with what modern Western science. Okay? Why? The consciousness does not come from the brain. I'm just going to tell you. It is not true that the neural pathways and the neurons build together so complicated that they make consciousness. That is not true. Consciousness looks at the brain. Consciousness receives the information from the brain. There's a transfer. Well, forget a transfer. We're going to talk about that. That's what I want to talk about, right? The consciousness stares at the energy that is coming up into the brain. It comes up, all the nervous system comes up, it's very complex, receives it all in the brain, and the brain is able to make the rest move. It's able to control the rest. It's a central processing system. But you take a big, something that's running a nuclear power plant, it can be very, very complicated. But there's somebody sitting there that's looking at stuff and receiving stuff that has consciousness. There's always consciousness in the end. Otherwise, nothing's happening. You just have robots running around, nothing's happening, all right? So your consciousness is able to receive the processes of your brain. Don't ask me how it transfers from physiological into spiritual. I know, and you know also, but it's not something your mind can understand. You are sitting there looking at whatever you're looking at right now. You know you're looking at it, don't you? Your eyes are receiving the message. Light is bouncing off of the atoms and molecules. It's reflecting back into your eyes. The photosensitive cells are picking it up. They're passing it back through your nervous system. There it is. And you are aware that that is happening. Well, do you exist when that's not happening? Try meditating. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Ever have dreams? They're not made of atoms. They're not made of this. How come you're able to see dreams? Have near-death experiences. How do the body experiences? People have all kinds of things. Consciousness is a thing in and of itself. It's an essence, an awareness of being. And one thing it's aware of is what is going on inside of your mind. Your mind is not your brain. Your mind is higher than your brain. The power of your mind can control the brain. If you say, I want to pick up this arm, it moves. How'd you do that? You, the consciousness, the will, the Shakti, the energy of being, transferred your intention, your will, down into the brain, and then it behaves. It's a central processing system that you have control over, like a car. You're not the car, but you drive the car. You are not the brain. But the brain receives and sends all the messages to the body so that you're able to have control of your body and able to receive the senses, etc. But the consciousness is the end result. We said if the senses are not there, there's no reason to take birth. If the consciousness is not there, even if the senses are there, let's get to the essence. I said the senses are the meaning of your body. If no consciousness is receiving the message from the senses, of what purpose was any of it? I can take everything away. You're still there. You notice it's got taken away. I do that in the Untethered Soul. There's a room filled with people, and there's a whole party, and there's pianos, and there's furniture and everything. Can you see that? Yes. You okay with that? Yes. Take the people away. Oh, I like people. Yeah, but you're still there, knowing the people are gone, aren't you? You're still there, and you know the people are gone. Is that the same you, or did you change? You, who knew there were people, now know it's not people. Take the furniture away. I like furniture. I know you like furniture, right? But you're still there. Otherwise, you wouldn't know the furniture was gone, would you? Just take it all away, and you're still there knowing it's gone. Take you away. Nada. There's nothing. So the essence of the entire meaning of the whole thing, your birth and everything, is that the consciousness experience what's coming in through your senses from this plane. Understand that consciousness is everything. Meher Baba did it perfectly. He said the entire universe is zeros. That's a lot of zeros. Every atom is zero, every galaxy is zero. It's just a whole bunch of zeros. How much meaning does that have? None. Zero has no meaning. It's empty. Take the number 1 and put it to the left of all the zeros. What do you got? 100 billion, zillion, quillion, trillion, quadrillion. 1, he said, the 1 is consciousness. Without consciousness, none has any meaning. But with consciousness, it all gets meaning. Then living on this plane is about your senses coming in. Okay, so there's a beginning of a talk of between your birth and your death, you have this time. What's the Polestar of your life? The Polestar of your life is you're going to find out that your consciousness has different levels that it can experience. Well, what are you experiencing now? You get born into the body, and the body has senses. And like we said, some of the things that come in are nice, some of the things that come in are not nice. Your consciousness is experiencing that. Even as a little baby, and you had children see immediately they're experiencing things. So you come in, you start experiencing it. What happens? If it's not pleasant, you, the consciousness, have an aversion to it. Have you noticed? You have aversions to some things? You have an aversion to it. It doesn't fit well. It doesn't come in. It's like if a river is flowing into a lake, but there's blockages. It can't flow in purely. It gets blocked. So you resist the experience. That's the key. And I teach this, I try, and I hope somebody understands. You have will. You have free will. Doesn't mean you can have anything you want. That's not free will means. Free will means you're in here, and you have the ability to do in here anything you want. That's where you live. You live in here. You don't live out here. You're not made of atoms. Consciousness is not made of atoms. Consciousness is awareness of being. It's spirit, spiritual. And you have free will. If you want to resist something in there, you're welcome to do it. If you want to accept something in there, you're welcome to do it. Let's get some straight. I forgot to say that. You're the only one in there. Is your husband in there with you? Your children? Your wife? Your parents? It is a single occupancy apartment. And you who I'm talking to, you are the only one that lives in there. Therefore, you have complete control of what's going on in there. You don't have complete control of what's going on out here. There's a lot of competition for this stuff in there. Not in there. You're the only one in there. You have complete dominion of what's going on in there. I know you don't think so. Well, if that we're done, you'll see it. You are completely in charge of every single thing that goes on inside of you. There's nothing else determining what goes on inside of you except you. But you said there were senses. Yes, there are senses, and they come in, and you experience them. What's wrong with that? You drive by white lines every day. You see clouds every day. You drive by people that you don't know every single day. 99.9% of every single thing that comes into your senses goes right through. It goes right through. It just comes in, you experience it, and you moving on, man. That's all that's happening. It doesn't do anything. 99.9%. I swear to God, you pay attention to it. Well, what's that 0.1%? The 0.1% is that something came in through your senses, and you're conscious of it, and it's not okay with you. What does that mean? People ask me, it's called evolution of the soul. And people say, no, the soul's God. Yes, It's God staring at you. And that's not so healthy. If you go on the web, you can go anywhere, you can experience anything. Go onto the dark web with a bunch of dirty stuff going on, and all of a sudden, you're all messed up because you're staring at something that's messed up. You're staring at something that's messed up. And so basically, it is the evolution of your soul, of your consciousness, is what's going on here. That's why you took birth. So what does it mean? It means that certain things will happen to you. They will come in through your senses, and they pass right through. Everything. Look at this room. Not bothering you until it is. Oh my gosh, she looks at my sister. Oh, I didn't like my sister. Oh my God. All of a sudden, something happens inside of you because of what's happening outside. Have you noticed things go on inside of you because of what happens outside? I'm telling you, though you don't look at it or think about it, that 99.9% of the things that your senses pick up go right through. They just go right through. They don't do anything inside. Experience them. Yes, I experienced that, but they don't cause trouble. They don't cause confusion or depression or anxiety or any of these things. They just come in. When was the last time a white line on the road, because it went from dotted to solid, or from white to yellow, or because it wasn't painted perfectly, had some drips on it, caused you anxiety or trouble? That's how everything is. It comes in through your senses. How do you know? You'll know, because you're conscious. So it comes in, you experience it, and then what happens? The next thing comes in. It doesn't stop coming in. It's been coming in on Earth 4.5 billion years. In the universe, 13.8 billion years stuff's been going on. You just happen to be standing in one spot of the universe where stuff's flowing by. You're not experiencing where you're not standing. It's going on everywhere, isn't it? Paris, France, every single spot of every single thing in the whole universe, there's something going on. How much do you pick up? 0.000000001%. So where you're standing, your senses are picking up the close proximity of where you're standing. Very good. It comes in, it comes up your nervous system, passes through, goes up into your brain, and your consciousness experiences it. And then what happens? That's what's so beautiful. This is so important. Then what happens? The next thing happens. Every single time, the next thing happens, doesn't it? But what happens, and this is the eye, there's the rub, comes in, passes through. But some things don't. What do you mean? They happen, and then they stay in there. I'm not talking about memory. I made that distinction in Living Untethered. Like, long-term memory is a natural function of your brain, of your mind. It comes in, you experience it. They say if someone hypnotized you, you can remember the white lines. That's all in there. You don't bother bringing it back, okay? It just comes in and you store it. So we're not talking about not being able to bring back, if you need to, something that you experienced in the past. A computer has memory. You also have memory. Your mind is like a computer. But some things come in and they don't go through. They don't pass through long-term memory and back into the consciousness. Why? Because the consciousness resists them. There's only one power inside of you. One, only one. That's called the power of consciousness, the focus of consciousness. When you focus your consciousness, which is very powerful, on a experience that's coming through, either because I didn't like it or I did like it. That experience stood out different than the others. Why? It hit me differently. And so I either resisted it or I clung to it. There it is. So now what happens? If an experience is happening, let's say you're resisting it. Experience happened, a smell, a skunk smell, comes in, ew! Then what? Then it's gone. But it's not gone inside of you. Well, I don't understand. The senses are not picking it up. Yeah, but you held it inside your mind. You held it. I told you can do anything you want in there. You chose to hold on to that which was disturbing when you experienced it, even though you're not experiencing it anymore. Like 20 years ago, we got divorced, and you can't even hear his name or her name or go visit the restaurants you used to eat at. See, I got real quick, didn't I? I thought maybe we could relate to this stuff. It's not happening anymore. The senses are not picking it up. Well, what happened? You, the consciousness, put a wall on that experience that was coming through, like every other experience in the whole universe comes in and goes through. But that one wasn't okay with you. And so you use your will to resist it. No, I don't like that. I don't like that he said that. I don't like that she did that. I don't like that it's happened to me. I don't like this. I don't like that there's a car parked out in front of my house that I don't know what it is. It's been there for hours. I don't like it. You know how many other things are going on in the universe? 700 billion, zillion, quillion. And you're freaking out over this thing in front of you. You can't handle what comes into your senses. Although 99.9%, you're very good at it. I tell everybody, you are 99.9% enlightened. Come on, man. Let's just pick up the last 0.1%. It's not so complicated. And so basically things happen. They come in through your senses and they will pass right through. What will? Everything will. Everything will pass right through, except you stop it. What if it's not a good thing? It'll pass through. What if it's a really good thing? It'll pass through. What if I don't care about it? It definitely passes through. Well, what's the purpose of it? It passes through. You get to experience it. Experience is a teacher. The very fact that you experience... If you never saw a snake in your life, I don't want to go hiking with you. If you're a guy that dealt with lots of snakes and dealt with all of them, I'll follow you. Why? You're experienced. What does that mean? He's experienced. She's experienced. It means they experienced it. Isn't that a positive thing? Oh, he's experienced at skydiving. He's experienced at this. He's experienced at brain surgery. Okay, I'll let you in. You want someone that's had the experience. You're having experiences every moment of your life. Every single moment of your life, you're having experiences. That's great. You're becoming experienced. What's wrong with that? That happens to be what's supposed to be going on here. You're experiencing what's going on here is what it's all about. Why would a planet like this float around in the middle of nowheres? I mean, nowhere's black, empty space. Remember my number? 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. That's how small this thing is. 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun, and there are 300 billion suns, stars, in your galaxy, and there are 2 trillion galaxies. That's what's going on. And so basically, you get to be on this amazing planet where there's fish and things and people and experiences. That's what there are on this planet. Experiences. Go to Mars. See how long you last. You'll get so bored. Oh my God. It was fun getting here. I liked having my name in the paper. I was the first one to get here. But oh my God. There's just dirt. Well, that's not here, is it? At no time is it that here. It's just experience after experience after experience after experience in full 3D dimension happening all the time. What do you have to do to have experiences? Nothing. It's what it means to have senses and be conscious of what's coming in. You have experiences. What meaning is that? You become experienced. It's very simple. And so it comes in, you experience, you become an experienced being. Well, where did you spend your last lifetime? On planet Earth. How was it? Oh, I experienced so much. I'm so much wiser. I'm so much more of a being because I had these experiences. I'm wholer than I was, aren't I? I'm a wholer because I saw a snake. I'm a wholer because I got divorced. I'm a wholer because I got married. I'm a wholer because I never got married. I'm a wholer. I had experiences. I'm a wholer because I sat through Ian and it washed away my house and I was fine. You're experienced. Do you hear me? You're having experiences and they're teaching you. You're learning. You're growing. But that's not what we do. We're not evolved enough to be able to handle the experiences we're having. None of us. He has an experience that freaks him out. You have the exact, in fact, you're standing right next to him when it happens. You have the same experience. Oh my God, there's a rattlesnake. Somebody goes, whoa, it's a rattlesnake. Right or wrong? So it's not true that the experience itself is not tolerable, it's not experienceable. It's not true that you can't experience the experience. It's what it was meant to happen. The senses pick it up. It comes in. It gets passed up. The whole thing I talked to you about. I talked to you about the body. It's natural. What does it cost to have an experience? Nothing. It's free all the time. You're having tons of them, aren't you? So they come in and they pass through. But some of them you are not able to handle, to tolerate. The right word is stay open enough to have the experience. You actually do this thing called closing. What does that mean? Resisting, pushing it away. How do you have the ability to do that? The senses picked it up. The brain, I guarantee the brain picked it up because you in there have will. And what happens is an experience happens and you freak. A little bit of freak, a lot of bit of freak, whatever. And it doesn't be traumatic. It just be, I don't like it. But you apply will that says the following. I don't want to experience this. I don't want it to have happened. Did it? Yes. But I don't want it to. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. That's called, I'm going to fight with reality. It happened. I'm sorry it happened. We can have sympathy. We can appreciate you. We can help you. Whatever. But don't tell me I don't want it to have happened. Why? Because it did. And if you spend your life resisting what happened, you wasted your life. That is not the purpose of your life, is it? The purpose of your life is to have experiences, not to resist them. You took birth to have experiences, but I don't want to have some experiences. So when it comes in, you experience it, and you push it away. When you push it away, guess what it does? That's what all of spiritual growth is about. When you push them away, they stay. It becomes what yoga calls a samskara. It's a word I've used it a lot in the new book. I also learn it. A samskara. What's a samskara? A pattern of energy that came in to you through your senses, into your mind, and you used your inner will to resist it. Therefore, that pattern has to keep moving. Energy has to keep moving. Energy can't stop. Energy has never stopped in the history of the world. It moves. Well, wait a minute. This energy came in from outside. Everything's energy. Einstein said so. It's all energy. It's coming in. Your senses pick up the energy, turn it into a pattern through your nerves. Your brain manifests it, and then you experience it. Well, I don't like what I experience. Well, then you have to stop experiencing it. How do I do that? Don't let it all the way in. Don't let it all the way in. Don't let it, hey, ever see a sunset and just say, oh my God, it just melted me. It was like a divine experience. That's because you let it all the way in. It came all the way through. It passed your mind. It passed your heart. No one touched it. It came into the consciousness. And you say, I felt like I was with God. It was like a spiritual experience. It was a spiritual experience because it made it all the way in. It's meant to come all the way in. They're all meant to come all the way in. They're all meant to come all the way in and feed your soul, feed your being so that you become wholer and more complete. So it comes in. It's energy. You don't want to experience it. I'm not going to let it further in. I experienced it enough to know it's there, but I ain't letting it all the way in there. You're going to do that when somebody yells at you? You do that when you get fired? You do that when somebody lies about you and tells stories? And no way, that ain't coming all the way in. That's the last thing in the world that's coming all the way in. I have to protect myself from it. So what do? I use my will to push it away. What does it do? Energy can't stop. That's something I realized way back in the 70s. So what it does is it circles around itself. That's the only way energy can stay in one place. That's why a circle is such a magical form in this universe. Things are circled, planets circle around. So it circles around your will. It's hitting your will, the resistance of your will, and it circles around it. And that's what a samskara is. A samskara is a pattern of energy that you created because you resisted it from flowing through. So it's circling around itself, and it stores right there. And it comes back, doesn't it? It's always trying to come through. I told you, the Colorado River has never accepted the Hoover Dam. It's just, no, that's unacceptable. If you took down the Hoover Dam, that river would flow exactly like it flowed before. All of its energy, all of its force is trying to push down that dam at all times. That energy of that experience 20 years ago, you resisted it when you were little. My parents got divorced. I didn't like my stepfather. When was that? 20 years ago. Where's your stepfather? Dead. Were your parents dead? But that's not dead, is it? Still in there. What's it doing in there? I never let it go. I stopped it. I'm holding it. It's circling around itself because I'm not letting it go anywhere. It comes up in my dreams. If I see something that reminds me of it, somebody says, oh, I have a stepfather. Oh, I get weird. Somebody says, you use the stepping exercise thing in the gym. You're laughing, but you know I'm telling you the truth. You become sensitive about that topic, about that subject. You know we don't talk about those things around your father. Wow. Why? Because Daddy did this. And he's got one of those in there, probably more than one. And if you touch it, or go anywhere near it, or somehow free association about it, what happens? It comes back up. You feel weird. And it comes from anything, and it literally comes back up. You start crying, or it just feels weird. Ever feel weird? It just feels weird. I don't like it here. I want to go. It's weird. It's hitting your stuff. You've stored this stuff in there. So you now can't have a new experience because it hits the old things that you stored in there. So now there's not a clear channel for the world to unfold, which it is doing. It says why you live on this amazing planet. I quote planet Earth, God's idea of Disney World. Compare it to any other planet. Compare it to the stars. Compare it to anything. We have the Hubble telescope and then the James Webb. They ain't seen nothing like this. And you see it every moment, colors and shapes and sounds and people. God, help. And all you do is complain. Why? Because you did this. How do you decide what to resist? It reminds you of something that wasn't comfortable before. That's what samskaras do. You stored it from your past. And now anything that hits it, you don't like it either. I dated a redhead when I was in 9th grade, and she dumped me. Now, if somebody said, I'm going to pick up on a blind date, so she's redhead. Nope. Or the opposite. It was the most wonderful relationship I ever had. In 9th grade, I have good ones, right? So now for the rest of my life, I'm looking for her again, aren't I? One way or another, right? Just something that reminds me of that. You did that. You blocked yourself. It is not your natural state. Your natural state is you drop down here, and the time between your birth and your death, you learn, you grow, you experience, you become greater. Every single experience you have makes you greater. Greater than if you didn't have the experience. Learn to play tennis and never have a ball hit at a certain angle where your wrist is weak. You're better if it's hit at that angle and you get to work on it. You're always better having an experience. You're having an experience. I asked you once, I don't know who gets it. Okay, you're having an experience. How many are you missing? How many are you missing while you're having this experience? Every other thing that's going on everywhere in the entire universe, you're missing. So there's a pretty special experience you're having. The one that was meant for you. By the way, people say that. Well, how do I know that I'm having the experience I'm supposed to have? Because you're having them. It doesn't have to be mystical. Does God decide that He needed this at this time? It's the only experience you're having. There's 700 billion, zillion, quillion experiences you're not having. How do you not respect the one you're having? And by the way, nobody else is having it. Nobody else. You're looking at a different angle than he is. You have different thoughts while you're looking at me and listening to me. No one is having the experience you're having right now. No one ever did, and no one ever will. Whoa! In other words, you're pretty special, aren't you? That's a special experience. It's yours. So what's wrong is you're not willing to have the experience. Because I'm guarantee you, every single experience makes you a greater being. There was this guy called Gandhi. One man. India's owned by the British Empire. The most powerful empire in the world at the time. And that one man sat there and said, no, we have the right to be free. We're not going to do this. And he tolerated experiences that are beyond your comprehension. They beat his head in. They locked him up. They did all kinds of things, didn't they? And when it was said and done, what happened? He liberated a country. Whoa. That's unbelievable. Every single experience is worth having if you're willing to have it. It's a nightmare if you're not willing to have it. Why? Because you blocked it. And now it stays inside of you. Have you ever held anything inside of you because you didn't like it? You do it every day. You do it all the time. If everything that ever disturbed you, you keep inside of you, what's it going to be like in there? Disturbed. You have stored everything that ever bothered you inside of you. Why? Because you didn't want to have. I don't know how to experience. Because you didn't want to have the experience. You stored it. I always ask the question. Go to a restaurant. Get served some food that's not good. Made you sick. It can happen. All right. Ask for a doggy bag. Take it home. And every morning, remind yourself how sick it made you. How are you going to be? What kind of life is that? That's what you did inside. Every single thing that ever bothered you, you kept inside of you in the form of that pattern of energy that I talked about. If anything touches it, you get like that. Remember where I started. You're born onto this plane, and it's an amazing plane. There's amazing things that are going on. And you're here to learn and to grow and to become experienced. The meaning of your life is as follows. That you go back up with less than you came down with. And that's so real, I cry when I say it. That you go back up with less than you came down with. That's the meaning of your life. To be able to experience life. And that evolves your soul. Right? It doesn't evolve the soul. It unbinds the soul. The soul, that's why people say, right, isn't the soul perfect? Yes, it is. But it's staring at something that's not. Your thoughts, your mind, your emotions. It's staring at that. Therefore, it thinks it's that. We'll get there in a second. So basically, you build these samskaras, tons of them every day, all the time. You're resisting. Then what happens? I do this very deeply in the new book, Living Untethered. You then do the following. You're conscious. You see you're a mess. What do you mean? You see, I'm not comfortable when this happened. I'm not comfortable when that happened. I'm not comfortable around this person. I'm not comfortable around that color. All because of samskaras. There's only one reason. Is because you stored stuff inside of you. Now you're not comfortable because you have all this stuff stored inside of you. You can't feel the vibration, that natural, vibrant energy that's inside of you, spiritual energy. You can't feel high. You can't feel Shakti. You can't feel beauty. Why? Because you're blocked. How'd you get blocked? I just told you, and don't you ever doubt it. You blocked yourself. You are the most beautiful thing that ever walked the face of the earth. You're glowing light. You're filled with Shakti. Believe me, you are filled with Shakti. It's pouring. Looking for love, the only reason you're looking for love because you blocked it inside of you. There's infinite love inside of you at all times. It's just welling up inside of you. I told you. Wave your hand across your heart, love will come flying out when you're open. That is who you are, and that is what it's meant to be. And there's only one reason it's not that way. You blocked the flow of the energy, like the Hoover Dam blocked the Colorado River. And I told you how you did it, didn't I? You resisted, and therefore it stayed inside. So basically, you get to the point where you understand, I'm not comfortable. You see it, I'm not comfortable. Of course you're not comfortable. I'm lonely. Of course you're lonely. You don't have any energy. If you can't breathe, Why? You block the oxygen. So if you're not feeling love, if you're not feeling wholeness, if you're not feeling vitality, if you're not feeling inspiration, not feeling passion, all the time, it's there all the time. That's who you are. You're a being of light. You're a being of greatness. I'm serious. But what if I did things wrong? It doesn't matter. It cannot change who you are. You are underneath this tremendous, beautiful light of energy. It will never go out, no matter what you ever do. I don't care what happens. It doesn't go out. You're it. It gets stuff on top of it, so that your consciousness can't experience your core because it's looking at the stuff that got built on top. So now what do? I develop a mindset. You listen to this. I develop what's called a self-concept, a way of thinking that says, how do I need things to be for me to be okay? How do I need things to be for me to be okay? And how do things not need to be so that I'm not freaking out? And you end up with a list. That's your self-concept. I'm a person that likes this. I'm a person that doesn't like this. Where do you think that came from? You did not make up your likes and dislikes. You stored this stuff inside of you, and I guarantee you, you don't like anything that reminds you of the stuff you stored inside of you. It wasn't comfortable when you were little, all right? Now we're in psychology. We're in straight psychology. I had a blankie. He was blue. They took it away before it should have been. How are you now? I either love blue or hate blue. But I ain't neutral about blue, I'll guarantee you right now. And if I'm married and I'm sleeping with somebody and she or he starts to pull the blanket off of me, I pull it back, seriously. Cut that blanket. You're laughing, it's true. Every single tendency is due to the fact that you're not okay, and you're not okay exactly where you block the energy. And so now you come up with concepts saying, well, the other day somebody asked me a question. It melted me. It was so beautiful. It was a young lady. It was so beautiful. She just said that I have a boyfriend, and if he treats me a certain way, I'm okay. But he doesn't always treat me the way I want to be treated. It doesn't always make me feel loved. It doesn't make me feel right. And if I try to let that go, that feeling of resistance, I feel hollow inside. Of course you do. You are blocked. Therefore, you have behavior patterns that you expect somebody else to do that help unblock you. Can things outside help unblock you? You're darn right they can. God, the minute I met her, I felt so open. I felt so much love. That's right. So somehow the interaction of energy between you guys helped you to be. The truth of what's happening, I hate telling you this because you don't want to hear it. What's happening is they are distracting you from yourself. Go to a movie and keep thinking about what you thought about when you went to the movie. All your mortgage problems and this and that. Why bother? It was a terrible movie. No, you were a terrible movie watcher. Now, have the movie completely catch your attention to where you don't think one single thing about yourself, or the fact that you're even in a movie theater, or strangers are sitting next to you, or anything, or COVID, or anything's happening. It just pulls your conscience completely into it. You know what you say? That was a great movie. Yes, because it distracted you from yourself. Well, that's what relationships do too, don't they? That's what money does too. That's what traveling does too. That's what vacations do too. You don't go on vacation and take yourself with you. It's supposed to distract you from yourself, isn't it? So instead of experiencing the experiences you're having, you make up a conceptual mindset that says these are the experiences I want to have and need to have, and these are the ones I don't want to have, all based on figuring out how to avoid myself. This is the kind of person I want to meet. One who treats me this way and that way. Does he open the door for you if you're a young lady? Yes. Oh my God, that's so romantic. No, he's a chauvinist pig. I can open my own door. You come up with these concepts and views and opinions and hopes and dreams and preferences, don't you? They're all based on your samskaras. Every single one of them. What do you mean hope? What do you mean by hope? I hope something will happen. You know what you mean by hope? You mean I hope it will be the way I need it to be to feel good. What are your dreams? I dream that someday it'll all be the way I need it to be. Your dreams are different than hers. These are not holy things. You've stored this junk inside of you, and now it is generating this mindset of concepts and views and preferences and hopes and dreams and beliefs and all that stuff. And if it happens, you open. There's no question. If something happens and you decided, I would like this if it happened, it opens. And then the minute it isn't the way you like, it closes. Has anybody ever seen that in a relationship where you get really open and then somebody does something or say something or doesn't say something or doesn't do something and all of a sudden not so open? I just want to know. I'm going to make sure I'm talking to the right crowd. Okay? That's why relationships are so difficult. You're trying to use them to match your samskaras or not match your samskaras. Here you're in love, you go out, everything happened, the dates are wonderful, you get matched perfectly on the little computer thing, and you go out and everything like that, and you're sitting there having dinner, and finally it's time to go to the parents, right? You're sitting there, and he's sitting there, and they serve soup. You never had soup with a guy before, right? I don't know why, he just never had soup, right? And all of a sudden, he slurps the soup. Well, you're freaking out. You slurp your soup in front of my parents? What's the matter with you? I never saw that behavior before. I'm not so sure about this relationship. And the minute your mind says, I'm not so sure about the relationship, guess what? You're not. Because you believe your mind. All of it is built upon your samskaras. The entire tree that you built in there of your psyche, of what you like, what you don't like, what opens you, what closes you, how sensitive you are, how open, every single thing. Why do some people love skydiving? I wouldn't get caught up there, right? It's just blockages and openness and this, that, and the other thing. Spirituality is about not getting what you want. There's no way in the world that getting what you want is spiritual. And there's no way in the world that avoiding what you don't want is spiritual. They are the opposite of spiritual. You have to come deeper. Buddhists say, work at the root. What is the root? These blockages. They're making me feel open when something happens that matches or doesn't match the blockage. Or I hope that maybe this won't match the blockage. Eventually, you're perfect. I trust you. What does that mean? I trust that you won't touch my stuff. I thought you understood me. I tried to explain to you how I am. You're supposed to be that way. I thought you were that way. You're my soulmate. In other words, go get everything the way you want. You will never grow. Go avoid every single thing that bothers you. You will never grow. Want to play tennis? You go with forehand, bad with backhand. You're really good at a particular shot. Get a coach that always hits you that shot. Every time. Bam! Especially when there's other people on the court. Bam! Bam! Wow, look at her. She's good. No, you stink. You can't play tennis. You can hit one shot. You need a coach that hits the ball where you can't hit the thing. Right or wrong? Well, God does that. That's what your life is. Hits you the balls where you're not good at it, doesn't it? Then isn't it funny that it always seems like I never get my way? So you catch on. It's not about fulfilling these concepts and views and preferences and so on. It's not about that. Those are the things that open you. And the question is, why are you closed? That's what deep spirituality is about, the following. Why are you closed? Why are you closed? And you don't want to look, do you? Why are you closed? You're closed because you closed yourself. Well, why am I sensitive about this? Because you closed yourself. Why do I not like this? Because you closed yourself. Why do I have so much trouble visiting my parents? Because you closed yourself. Why do I have trouble going to the restaurant where my ex and I used to eat? Because you closed yourself. You did this. Now, you justified it. Well, anybody would. I don't care what anybody would do. They're not all doing so well. Read the paper, look around. You think everybody want to be like them? You just wake up. And you sit there and say, I got some work to do. That's the Polestar of your life. There. We came right back. The meaning of your life is purification. The meaning of your life is getting beyond where you're limited now. Always. How can it not be? The meaning of your life is not feed your limits. Make it all fit where you're blocked, right? But that's how we live, don't we? We sit there and say, I'm trying to get everything to be the way I'm okay. And I resist it if it's not, and I run away. And everything I've done my entire life is based upon what made me feel good or made me feel bad. Well, the reason you feel good and the reason you feel bad are those samskaras. So what do? You take a look at it. You say, well, maybe I should get rid of some of these. Can I? They've been in there a long time. They're really strong. You put them in there. You can let them out. Nothing is in there but you. Your will did that. And now you're using your will to avoid it. You're using your will to try and manipulate the world. Instead of experiencing the world, you want to manipulate the world to match you. Instead of you learning from it, you're trying to manipulate everything so that it feels okay to you. A yogi, a yogini, a great being, takes one look at that at one point in their life and says, I'm just going to keep doing that my whole life. If I leave this stuff in here, I'm going to have to avoid it and run away from it or run toward it. I'm not living my life. It's living my life. The lowest part of me is living my life. That which I couldn't handle before, I'm making sure I don't have to handle now. And so you decide, I'm going to get it out. Can you get it out? Yes. Can it all go out? Yes. What's it like when it's out? Pure ecstasy. Buddha gave it a name, nirvana. Like, one of the greatest things Christ said is, as I sit by the throne of my Father, throne is not a seat. You're not sitting somewhere. It's a state of consciousness. It's a seat of consciousness. As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things that I do, you should do these and even greater things. What's he telling you? Whoa, you're pretty high stuff. You're a pretty great being. Well, why am I not experiencing it? Because you're blocked. Can I let it go? Yes. You can get rid of why you're not okay. Period. No matter what it is, no matter how long it's been in there. It doesn't mean you can let it go tomorrow, just we had a talk. It's been in there a long time. And you're not ready to let it go. Just because you decided to tell the coach, okay, I don't want to impress everybody, hit my backhand. That doesn't mean the first time he or she hits the backhand, you're going to do well. The fact is, you're not going to do well with it. You have to practice. You have to learn how to deal with it. It's the same thing here. So in the new book, Living Untethered, which I highly recommend you read or listen to, it says, don't start with the big stuff. Don't worry. Don't get scared. No one's telling you to touch that stuff. Don't. You're not ready. How do you know? It wouldn't be in there if you were ready. You wouldn't be keeping it in there. It would come up. All of a sudden, someone would remind you of your stepfather. Here, you're dating somebody. It's really great. And then all of a sudden, he does something that reminds you of somebody you didn't like. And what's going to happen is going to come up and you go, oh my God, I've been keeping that down there? I'm so sorry. Thank you for bringing that up. This is beautiful. Give me a minute. Let go, let go, let go. Oh boy, I don't have to carry this anymore. I don't have to be afraid it will happen. I don't have to be sensitive. Wouldn't that be nice? There, you're welcome to do that, but you're not going to do that, are you? You can push it right back down, right? You get whole mental thought patterns around it. Well, maybe I can accept this, like that nobody's perfect. Don't you dare do such a thing. Learn to cope. Don't you dare. What does coping mean? I got a problem, but I'll live with it. No. If you have a problem, you get rid of it. You see some stuff in there, it's not going to go away in a minute. You take one look at it, and this is what you say. Your days are numbered. I'm not going to rip it out. I'm not going to deny that's in there. But I'm transcendent. I'm high enough. I'm witness of that. Your days are numbered. Come on. We'll work it through. But your days are numbered. You ain't staying in there. How's that sound? Then what do? You start with the small stuff. I taught you that. It's called low-hanging fruit. The fact you complain about the weather. You complain about the driver in front of you. Oh my God, nice blinker. It just starts seeing these tiny little things that go on every single day that you let bother you. And you do. You let them bother you. Work with those. That's like playing scales on the piano. Play the scales, you'll get better at playing the piano. Practice tennis, you'll get better at tennis. Practice accepting and letting go of the stupid things that you let bother you during the day. How do I define low-hanging fruit? If you stop bothering you about them, there's nothing else to do. If I'm in traffic and caught in the traffic and I'm driving myself crazy, what good is that doing? Now, I have two problems. The outside problem, the traffic, I'm going to be late. And the inside problem, I've drove myself crazy. I don't just have one problem. Okay, I'm going to be late. That's not a problem. I'm going to be late. The boss will yell at me. I'll deal with being yelled at. It's okay. I'm okay. I'll do my mantra in traffic. I'll listen to some nice music. You have the right to do that. So if you letting go of it means it stops being a problem, that's low-hanging fruit. It's completely up to you. And you start practicing and practicing these little things. You'll get better at it. Next thing you know, something bigger will happen. And you'll find, well, I'm still here. I don't like it. I don't like that he said that. Yeah, but I don't want to come down because he said it. That's his problem, not mine. And you just learn to let go. Just like you let go of the traffic. Just like you let go of the temperatures. You let go of the fact that your hair got frizzy in the humidity. Practice. I didn't say you like it. There are all kinds of things that can irritate you. Are there not? You have to learn to not be irritated. Otherwise you'll be irritated by everything. There's a dog barking. There's a this. There's a that. There's a noise. There's a thing in the car. Oh my God. You'll be bothered by everything. And you are. Learn to not be bothered about things. Oprah said her favorite line in the new book is as follows. Mine too. It's my favorite line. The moment in front of you is not bothering you. You are bothering yourself about the moment in front of you. No matter what it is. If you don't bother yourself about it, it doesn't bother you. If you bother yourself about it, it drives you crazy. Well, let's see. Maybe we should learn to stop bothering ourselves and we won't be bothered. If you will do this, keep letting go, bigger things will happen, and eventually you'll reach a point where all of a sudden you realize there's this energy flowing inside of you that wasn't there before. People ask me, what is Shakti? Forget it. I don't want to talk to you about it. Go find out. You let go of that stuff, and you're going to come to me and say, wow, I'm just happier than I used to be. And there's this thing pushing at the point between my eyebrows all the time now. It's just, I don't know, it's like a flow of something pushing or at the top of my head. What is that? Oh, I see. You're unblocking yourself. You don't have to work with the chakras. Work with not blocking them. You don't have to know a single thing about them. You can, it's fine. But if you will stop blocking yourself, you're going to find out every single one of these things that's taught to you. Why? Because it's real. And it will open up, and there will be this constant flow of energy flowing up inside of you. All day, all the time. Even if your body is sick, even if somebody says something, your mind doesn't like what they said, it doesn't matter. You get to the point where the energy just flows up. It flows up all the time. It feeds you. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. You have a flow of Shakti, a flow of energy inside of you. And so this is the reward of bothering to let go of the garbage that you stored inside of you and not storing any more. That stuff's heavy in there, isn't it? You want more? No. Then don't take it on. Every day before you go to work, when you wake up, stop. What is the Polestar of my life? I ain't taking no more on. At night, stop. Did I take any more on? Let it go. And just keep working with yourself. And now you have a Polestar. As I started, you're going to wrote a chant. I have made the Polestar of my life. I made liberation the Polestar of my life. I made cleansing out so that I can rise to the highest. And I'm going to stop. But we haven't even talked about the high states. We haven't even begun to talk about the high states. It's kind of nice to have a beautiful flow of energy feeding you inside. It ain't nothing compared to where the masters went. And you're capable of all of that. All right? So it's a new year. What are you going to do with it? Use it. Use it to purify. Use it to let go. Be thou a yogi. Jagadif.